Hey folks, welcome back. It's a Big Barn Build with an unplanned video today. I feel like I've got a few questions to answer from the last video. So if you haven't seen that one, I'll put a link down in the description. This is the video and it's all about getting to this stage. And there's a few worries people had. So here we go, let me explain all. So as you can see, things are really beginning to change in the building, and the main change at the moment internally is this green OSB board going up inside. Now, our external walls are 300mm deep engineered studs, and that's what you see here. And of course, as we move on to the internal walls, we'll be switching to slightly small carcassing timber, CLS, that sort of thing. But for the structural walls that are needed for the outside, and also some of the internal walls for racking and kind of giving some strength, will be lined with OSB. Now we are installing all of our insulation afterwards, which is a little bit unconventional for some people because you would expect us to be putting all of our insulation in, a little bit like we did with the cabin, and then boarding over the top. But for us, we're using cellulose insulation, which is blown in afterwards. So the boards go on, a hole is drilled, they blow it in, and then they seal that with an airtight patch. But I think most people could get their head around that. But the question which people were asking is, did we forget first fix? Now, genuinely, I'm really thankful for our audience. You're the best because some of you actually emailed or messaged me away from the video saying, I don't want to embarrass you in the comments, but I think you might have forgotten some of your cabling. And so I really appreciate that because although I haven't forgotten it, it just shows that you guys are kind of genuinely involved in this project, and it's good to hear and good to see. So the answer is no, we haven't forgotten a thing. It's going to be done in exactly the same way as I did with the cabin. So in this video, I can share some of that footage so it's not just me talking in front of a big green wall. When you line the inside of the wall, we're doing that for a few reasons. One is it's giving us strength in the wall. OSB, plywood, and even that board on the outside, that wood fibre board, gives strength to the wall in as much as it prevents racking. So it's giving that sort of strength and giving that skin to the frame. You could put the OSB board on the outside, like you might do with a garden room or a shed or something like that, and then you could just insulate and put a vapour barrier on the inside and work that way. We have our racking board on the inside here. In addition, that one on the outside does the same thing anyway. But our inside wall is our strong racking board, and that is both giving us our strength, our air tightness, and our vapour control layer. So this is preventing warm moisture from inside the house, which just inherently happens in a dwelling, stopping that from getting through into our insulation, because otherwise you could end up with a situation where moisture is condensing within the wall, which we don't want. We've made sure that our least vapor permeable material is on the outside. So there's a breather barrier, a breather membrane, and then we've got that board, which basically means that if there is moisture or water vapor in that insulation ever, it can always escape outwards. So the golden rule, as far as I know, in a climate like ours, is to have the least vapor permeable membrane on the inside, or not membrane, but even material, working through to the outside. That still doesn't explain anything about our cabling and pipework. So because we want that intact, that green layer, which is nice and visible here, because it's green, if you imagine that green skin, we want it to be completely continuous everywhere. It won't be green on the ceiling, but there will be the airtight layer of the ceiling, taped to the walls. The wall is 5mm off the slab, and that will be sealed as well. So you end up with a fairly, well, hopefully a very airtight box. So that's our airtight layer and our vapor control layer. But the reason why we have no cabling, no pipe work going in that wall now is because all of that we want to sit on the inside. The idea really is to create our inner skin. We'll tape all the joins, so there'll be airtight tape on all the OSB. Then we'll get to a point where the windows and doors are fitted. They have special tapes and foams. Everything will be sealed to the walls. We could then decide to do a blower test, which is where we pressurize or depressurize the building and check where the leaks are. And that the lower the air change, or i.e. the higher the air tightness, the far more efficient the building is. And we need it to be a certain level so that our mechanical ventilation in the house is going to work. Otherwise, you'll end up just pulling in cold air from outside. So we want to be in real control of that airtight layer, this green layer. And the way to do that is to get that right first. So now you've got an idea of how important this layer is, and we're trying to protect that. So we're doing everything to get that our priority. So that happens throughout the whole building, taped. We can get the insulation done at any point. Once the insulation is done, that gets taped. And then what we have is the ability to batten all the walls. So we'll be using slightly thicker battens. In the cabin, we use those 25mm sort of roofing batten, which was fine, and you can still get a back box on for the sockets. We didn't have to run any pipework in the cabin, but you could probably just about get away with it in 25mm. Actually, we did do a few, and it was tight with the clips. But here we'll be using 38mm by 38mm batten, which I randomly bought last year. We've got several hundred meters of it. And we can install that either horizontally or vertically. Now, we could install them vertically or horizontal. Most tend to do it horizontally, I guess, so you can then just run your cables and pipes along. And you've got no risk of having to notch out and then putting a screw in the wrong place. So we'll probably do that, and then obviously we'll have to put a few extra battens just to catch the ends of boards. But that will give us a 38-40mm cavity all the way around the building. So we can run cables, pipes, data cables, anything it needs to be, and we know that nothing goes through the green. So a bit of a golden rule, and it's easier for us because we're going to be on site and involved in every step of the process. But if you were building this building and airtightness was your priority and you had trades coming in and out all the time, it's very easy for an electrician or a plumber or something to go, oh, we'll go straight through this wall because it's a quicker route, and they just buzz straight through. And then you do your airtightness test, or you might not even spot that, and you do a test later on and it's leaking everywhere. So we know green is our golden rule, green rule, that nothing goes through the green wall. If it does have to, there are gaskets and seals available that we could do that. So I think it might be that in this corner we have to put something in to run out to the sewage treatment plant, but I think there's another route we can take. So hopefully no need to penetrate our kind of envelope of the house. So there we go. Hopefully that explains it all. The service cavity is a good way to go. And also it can be done in loft conversions and things like that, or garden rooms, garage conversions. And I think I've done it in just about every project we've done so far. So there's another situation why it can be quite handy. If you wanted to use PIR, so Kingsband, Celotex, that sort of thing, in a stud wall, so that might be in a stud wall or in a roof for a loft conversion, you can fit your thicker board, that might be 100mm or so, between all the rafters. And then some people would then just use insulated plasterboard underneath. That is okay, but often it's far more expensive and it's a little bit clumsy to fit. Or you might not be wanting a plasterboard finish. So what you can do is you're installing your inside layer of insulation. So you would typically have, for example, 100mm between the rafters, and let's say you're putting 50mm of sheets underneath. You're fixing them underneath to the rafters with washers, let's say, and then you can tape all your joins, and that basically will give you your vapor barrier. And instead of then just fixing your plasterboard straight on top of there, if you were running cables up, or you maybe wanted spots, things like that, you can just put 25mm batten in line with where all the rafters are and screw that through. That will do two jobs. It will hold all of your insulation nice and tight to the rafters, but also it gives you that void. So anywhere you need to, you can run into your pipework below the insulation, your cables or pipework, and you know you're absolutely fine. You're not constantly going in and out of insulation or messing around like that. You've just got a clear run of it. You can clip the cables to the side of the battens if you need to, and away you go. So lots of reasons why service cavity is a beneficial thing to have. For the very same reason of having that continuous air barrier throughout the house, that is one reason why we decided to balloon frame the ends. So instead of having all of our joists sat on the wall and then building the first floor walls on top of that, where you've got a lot of leaky detail, we've got continuous wall. We can just sheet this whole wall and become a green expanse, which we can then tape all of our joints. We know that that is just done, and then we can fix a board, a glue lamp, onto the OSB, which will, with coach screws every 400, which will screw or bolt through to that blocking behind. So it will be a solid mounting point, but that will be after the tape's gone on. One question I get on all of the videos from the past decade on insulation and vapor barriers and stuff is you often have to screw through your vapor barrier because you need to put battens on the inside or something like that. In theory, your screw or your nail is deemed to be self-sealing or self-sealing enough that if you're screwing through, you know, polythene or even a board like this, it's kind of deemed to be okay and not a weak spot. However, there are tapes or kind of self-sealing tapes that you can put on below your counterbattens before you screw through. I haven't looked at the costings of that, and I'm not sure if that's required or not for us. I don't think it is, and I haven't seen it done anywhere with these boards. But that's basically the result of it. You get your vapor barrier or your air tightness layer up, and then yes, you will have fixings going through it. Very minimal. Last thing to mention is all of this air tightness helps a great deal. The cabin, we have been living in there for 2 years. Currently, we're heating the cabin with one column radiator, about 1 metre wide, in the lounge, and a towel radiator in the bathroom. And for the 4-bed, 100 square metre building, that's all the heat that's going into it. A little bit of heat in our bedroom with the little one at the moment, but only if the temperature is about 2 degrees or less, we find we need a bit of heat in the bedrooms. But most of the time, nothing. So 2 radiators, which then get obviously spring and summer and autumn drops down to just a tower radiator, and that's, I would say, more to do with the air tightness in there rather than the insulation. The insulation in there is okay. It's 100 mil of sheep's wool and 40 mil of wood fibre board. This is probably getting on for 3 times that, but the air tightness is probably where the benefits lie. So you're stopping that drafty. Even if you don't feel the drafts, there's just air leakage. And I think that's probably why that's performing so well. But remember, you can't go doing this unless you've got ventilation. So unless you've got MVHR of some sort in here, it's quite a complex system. We're still ironing out the details. But if you were to just build an airtight box, no trickle vents on your windows, you'd have problems because moisture would just build up. You could end up with mold and all sorts of nasties. So if you're concentrating on the air tightness, you kind of got to go hand in hand with the fact that you're going to need ventilation of some sort. And there's loads of systems, and I'm sure as we learn, we'll share more and more with you in videos. It's quite cold today. It's a Sunday morning. I'm doing a bit of a tidy up ahead of tomorrow, and I just wanted to answer those questions. So no, we haven't forgotten First Fix, and yes, when we come to internal stud work, we can do the normal drilling and running stuff through stud work, but on the whole of the outside wall, the priority is getting those battens on, and then away we go. Right, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening. I hope that answers the questions about that. But once again, thanks for the concern, because there were some very, very worried people out there. So rest assured, it's all under control. It won't always be under control, so keep your comments coming in if you think I've missed something, because one day soon I will definitely have missed something. But there we go. Big week ahead. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself. And we'll see you next time.